In the late 1960s, Jimmy Buffett was living in Nashville and trying to start a career as a folk country musician. He cut 2 albums, but only 1970's Down to Earth, which didn't actually do very well, was released. His record company at the time claimed to have lost the masters to the second album. So Jimmy Buffett and Jerry Jeff Walker, who you might know from Mr. Bojangles, headed down to Key West in 1971. It was right after Jimmy's marriage to his high school sweetheart had broken up. They were essentially broke at the time, and they decided they were going to try to eke out a living in Key West, busking and playing music gigs. During this time in the 1970s, he performed at the Pier House at night, and then during the day at the famous Captain Tony's Saloon. If you're ever in Captain Tony's Saloon, there are some great pictures of Jimmy Buffett and obviously Captain Tony there on the wall. The tradition of busking for tips is something that continues at Captain Tony's and many other bars and even on the streets of Key West. And of course, it happens every night at Mallory Square Sunset Celebration. So if you're ever around and you see people on the street playing music or you're down at the Sunset Celebration, make sure you give a tip to the buskers because that's how they earn their living. Jimmy Buffett's experiences in Key West became the best content for writing his songs. When Jimmy Buffett's friend and mentor Jim Croce died, ABC Dunhill tapped Jimmy Buffett to fill Croce's place on their roster. That led to the classic 1973 album White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean, followed quickly in 1974 by Livin' and Dyin' in 3/4 Time and A1A. Naturally, the songs from these albums are now iconic songs that are mainstays of Jimmy Buffett's tours. Many of Jimmy Buffett's best songs are about Key West, and Captain Tony figures prominently into several of them, most notably Last Mango in Paris. Jimmy Buffett says there are a few places on earth that he can be where the creative juices naturally flow. For him, Key West is one of those places. It also happens to be that for him, New Orleans is one of those places. Both cities steeped in culture, oceanside communities that are laid back and have just a real appreciation for the arts and music culture that Jimmy Buffett songs creates. The island theme, the carefree island-type songs are loved by many people, and it brings about just a nostalgia of your last vacation at the beach and what it was like to just sit out and eat under open air, dine with the birds flying in and maybe dolphins coming up in the ocean or manatees. Just gives you a relaxing vibe, and Key West does that for Jimmy Buffett. In fact, many times over the course of the years since Jimmy Buffett was a regular resident in Key West, he showed back up and played different concerts, many times impromptu, having a street concert and that sort of thing. So you can occasionally find Jimmy Buffett still in Key West today. Generally, it's unannounced. He grabs a guitar wherever he is and he hops on stage and thrills his fans. If you're ever in Key West and Jimmy Buffett's here, you might also find him riding anywhere around town on a bicycle. So it can happen. In recent years, Jimmy Buffett bought the Westin Hotel, and it's now Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. So you can bet that when Jimmy Buffett comes to town, we know where he's going to be playing next. And it was today, January 25th, 1988, that local resident and nationally known singer Jimmy Buffett presented Key West Mayor Richard Hyman with a check for $15,000 toward the purchase of the salt ponds and a check for $2,700 for the use of Wickers Field, where the salt ponds benefit concert was held. And that's what happened today in Key West history. This program is brought to you by 43 Keys Media. If you want to learn more about our glorious past and the famous celebrities that have been part of it, visit 43keys.com. You can also learn more about what's going on right now in Key West by visiting 43keys.com. You can get this program as an Alexa Flash Briefing. You can find it on YouTube, and you can also find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. So wherever you're listening, subscribe and never miss an episode. We'll see you over at 43keys.com.